I want to have a conversation about growing an 8-figure business. Lots of folks talk about being entrepreneurs. Lots of folks talk about doing big things, but we've got Adrian Hernandez here who has successfully grown an 8-figure business. I actually want to poke at this, figure out trials, tribulations, what made him unique. How the heck did he do this? When did it start? All of that good stuff. Adrian, thank you for being here today.
What's going on, guys? Good to see you all again.
Adrian, you have done something that probably less than 1% of the population has done, probably less than 10% of the population even think is possible. And that is growing an 8-figure business. So I want to step back and just acknowledge you for that. And, kind of ask you, what are the 2 or 3 things that kind of even made that possible? Is it something in your upbringing? Is it some kind of belief? What are the keys to getting to 8 figures? Because most people don't.
Yeah. Well, first and foremost, I would say, guys, I still don't know nothing, right? I don't know nothing. I did a training yesterday at an office. I started off saying, I don't know nothing, right? Because I really don't. What I have done is we have seen what other people have done in the industry, right? I love the quote by Bob Proctor. He says, in order to hold it in your hands, you first must see it in your mind, right? But in order to see it in your mind, you also got to sometimes see it in person, right? So for us, it wasn't possible. Sorry, I need to shut down this account or my phone's already. It wasn't possible until we saw an 8-figure business and we saw the people who were running and we saw how they did it. And we're like, we could do this too, right? And so sometimes it's seen to believe, right? You guys have seen that and heard that saying, right? You got to see it to believe it. I believe for us, that's what it was. It's always been in my mind. I've always wanted to do it, but there was always some sort of roadblock, right? And that roadblock was always me not ever really being around it, right? And then we got around it and we're like, okay, if we do this for this amount of time, and then we go here, we can go here. And we're still doing that today, right? Like to get to 20 million, to get to 30 million, right? It's like, for us, we've seen companies that have done that. So we know that it's very possible that we could do that.
Yeah, I love that. The other thing I think it's important here is even in your answer here, you've always said the word we, right? Nobody becomes an 8-figure business by themselves. We're not talking solopreneurship here. Right. You've always had a team. You've always had partners. Why don't you just talk about the importance of more than just you, right? Because I think you would even acknowledge Adrian Hernandez by himself is not a 10-figure business.
No way. No, absolutely not. I'll go crazy.
8-figure business.
Yeah. My wife would be gonzos, right? Because literally all you're doing is working at that point, right? So we need people, right? And I say that with all due respect, like which wife would be around when all you're doing is just, right? So you need people. And to that point, back to the first question you asked, you need people around you that can support you, like Tyleon Guerrero, Joe DiRaffaele, Alex Lair. All those people were around me at a very early age where I was able to, I kind of had some shortcuts, right? Like the people around you is so important, guys. To think you can do it alone, to think that you can build a business alone, to think that you can fix your mind alone. Because, they had to help me with a lot of rewiring, right? Like I can't count how many hours I've spent on calls with Joe D, with him just literally in there rewiring my brain, right? Me fighting it, rewiring, fighting it. So we need those people, right? And I love what Kevin Sturtevant said. He goes, you need to pay for shortcuts in the business. Right? Pay for the shortcuts.
Yeah. The other thing that's kind of, needs to be said in this journey to 8 figures is it's not a 1-year journey, right? You've been doing this how long? You've had plenty of milestones and setbacks, but this is not something you roll out of bed and you're just suddenly doing 8 figures. Is that fair?
Absolutely. I remember when I was first year, I crushed it in the real estate industry. I want to say I was 24, made like $350,000, right? And that I remember we're with a group of really successful title reps. And they asked, what are you going to do next year? And I'm like, $1 million, right? And they all laughed. And I was really upset that they laughed, Zuber. Like I was 24, very egotistical, right? My ego got in the way. I'm like, what do you mean? I'm going to do it, right? And they're like, oh, okay, right? Right on, right? 5 years, no. let's see. So 24, 25, 20, yeah, 5 years later, I hit a million. 5 years later. Like,
Right.
So the point of the story is it takes so much longer than you think, especially when you're young, your ego's in the way and you think you're going to freaking crush 10 mil next year. And it's like, let's get to 100 grand first.
Yeah. Let's go 350 to 500 or something more.
Yeah, so a little bit more realistic, right? So, I mean, it's cool, right? And I think that's why people love being around me, is I was very optimistic, right? I had high energy about that. But sometimes you got to go up there and pop that little balloon, right, and bring you back down to reality.
Yeah. The other thing I've seen in you and why you're always helping me kind of rewire my brain is I don't know how to say this. I would say you're both humble and hungry, if that makes any sense, right? You're humble about what you've done, right? You're willing to talk about it, but you're not bragging. You're just humble, but you're also hungry for more information. It's like, you're not perfect, right? You kind of joked right at the opening, right? I don't know nothing. But you're always, investing in yourself, questioning yourself, seeking out others. And that's a superpower, because a lot of people, when they have a little bit of success, i.e. 24 making 350, you let the ego get in front of you and you're not open to feedback and tweaks and things of that nature. Talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, I want to say coachability has to be
coachability. Yeah,
it has to be a value and a strong point for you, or else we'll always get stuck, right? So, there's a good saying: once you think you got it all figured out, is the day you lose. Right? Yeah. So I just play like I don't got it figured out, and every day I'm asking for questions. That's another thing, ladies and gentlemen, you got to be very vulnerable. Like, don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to be like, hey, I messed up on this deal. I need some help. You know what I mean? I've messed up on plenty of deals, or I didn't get this right. I need some help. There's nothing wrong with that. It took me some time to understand it, but then when I realized the value in it, and I remember someone telling me, people want to help you. You're afraid of asking for the help, right? So we got to stay coachable, read books, listen to podcasts, right? But also be very careful of there's a difference between absorbing and listening. Be careful what you absorb, right? It's okay to listen to some stuff. Okay, I get it. Yeah, that's really not for me. The good stuff that is for you, the stuff that, where your intuition is telling you, yeah, that's it. Lean into that, right? That's the stuff you want to write down. So staying coachable is huge.
The other thing I'd love to talk about is, typically in a journey to 8 figures, there's been a couple of real inflection points, right? When you think about your journey from 0 to 8 figures, can you kind of point at a couple of game-changing, I don't know if it's game-changing ideas, game-changing relationships, game-changing decisions, but typically there's a couple in the journey that really took you to the next level. Do you have a couple of those?
Yeah, there's a few of those. I would say when we first, when Ty really introduced us to wholesaling and introduced us to, Carlos Reyes and that whole side of what he was doing, that was a big pivoting point, because we went from traditional real estate brokerage style to wholesale and flipping. So that was a big transition. And that whole journey that's when I met you. That's when we went to your, I believe you're the one that spoke. Yeah, you did. That's when I met you. You spoke at the that little pop-up event that David Green had.
Yep.
And it was that whole journey right there. Like, that was a big, that was one of them. The next one would be when we joined Collective Genius and really got involved with Doug and Damon, right? And understanding the inbound marketing. That was huge for us. And then I would say for me, the personal one was the huge loss I had with being careless with money and contractors and deals and buying in areas that I shouldn't be buying in. So that was a good, ego check, right when I thought, that was the time I thought I had figured out. That was huge. Right. And that's what humbled me to stay coachable, right? We all are going to make mistakes. That was a big mistake that I made. Thankfully I made it, because it realigned me. I was like, hey dude, like this is what happens when you think that you have this figured out. So we need to go here and we need to stay here.
Yeah. I love
and what
that.
is here, by the way, that's the coachable side, right? That's always learning.
Yeah. It's really funny, because it's funny because, again, you are running a brokerage traditional business just like everybody else, building teams out, all of that. Then you get introduced to a new line of business, really, a couple of lines of business, flipping and wholesaling. And again, instead of being I don't know, egotistical and saying, no, I'm going to be the number one brokerage in Orange County and, this way or the highway. You looked at it as a way to monetize additional leads. Cause I'm sure what you saw in your brokerage is you really couldn't help everybody, right?
Right.
Getting a listing isn't the right answer for everybody. Sometimes they want out for whatever reasons. So you saw a way to better monetize, lead generation, which is pretty cool. Then, you went to the Collective Genius and you really saw professionals at marketing, right? Because again, as a brokerage, you kind of did it the same way as everybody else. These guys are doing, probably keywords, SEO, they're doing outbound with postcards, dial. I mean, it's all kinds of stuff years ago. And you're like, dude, I'm in messaging. And then I love the last one you talked about, which was a failure. And I don't know about you, but I often learn the most from failures. And, losing hundreds of thousands of dollars because of arrogance and poor decisions is a wake-up call. And frankly, my story, but for the audience, I still remember losing 80% of my stack, back in 2000 because I was arrogant and egotistical. And that was what saved me before the housing crash. Is I was never going to make that arrogant decision again. Go to a Bruce Norris event. Bruce Norris says California crash. I do a little bit of research and boy, do I execute like a man to get out of the houses. And, I avoid the crash where a lot of people going from 2000 to 2006, 7, they blow up because they were so arrogant that what they did, they wouldn't get burned. And I'm like, no, dude, I'm out of the way. I'm not making this mistake again. So right. I love that. That's such a good one.
Yeah. They say if you don't humble yourself, life will find a way to humble you.
Oh, amen to that. Yeah. Anytime I get a little full of myself, life certainly humbles me. The other thing I want to talk about is family, right? You're building an 8-figure business. It's all consuming. You're investing in yourself. You're doing a bit of traveling. How do you keep the happy wife, happy life? How do you stay grounded how do you stay present with the family?
Definitely not the right person to ask, Zuber.
Know thyself.
I'm still learning. It's been, I'm grateful because my wife understands, hey, he needs to go to work. Right. But however, it still comes up. So this is what I do. I just don't work the weekends. Right. Like she knows I have to be on my phone, but it's not like if I need to step away for 10 minutes, it's 10 minutes, right? I'm not letting it consume me.
The other thing that you do is I've seen you get away. I mean, one of the things, I don't know if it's every 90 days, but I mean, that seems to be something purposeful as well.
Yeah. And I'm very conscious of that, right? It's like I had a buddy tell me, you got to make your deposits, just like a bank account, right? He's like, you got to make your deposits. That way, when it's time for you to withdraw, right? And what is that withdrawal? I got to go to an event and I got to spend 2 days at an event, right? So then what have I done at home, right? And it's not, I don't want you to think about it as trading. It's like, it would be unfair for me to go to all these events and me not take her somewhere, right? It's like, well, you get to go everywhere. What about me, right? And so we have to have that, right? And at first I didn't understand that. Then I had to pull that in and I'm like, wait, calm down. You also got to take care of her. So for me, it's like, we're leaving this weekend. Just her and I, because it's the first time we've gotten away without the baby. The last time we got away was to go speak in Vegas, but it was more like work, right? It wasn't really fun. Yeah. So it's really important. I don't like the word. I don't want to say I don't like. I try not to let myself fall into the happy wife, happy life, because I did, and I noticed I got to a point of pleasing. And so we don't want to please gentlemen, right? Because no ladies likes a pleaser. However, what can we do to create the right, help create the right structure at home so they're understanding and you're understanding? So I'll say something like, all right, hey, we'll go on this vacation, but for the next 3 weeks, I got to lock in, or 4 weeks, I really got to lock in, right? And then, one thing that's an issue is when I'm at work and I don't ever pick up my phone to call and check on her, right? So that's something that I'm learning. And again, we talked about being coachable, right? There's nothing wrong with going and getting help at different phases of your life and in your marriage to help navigate that. So we've gotten some help from a business coach who has done this. She sold multiple different companies. She's been through a family. She also was a family therapist. So she kind of, helps us understand the two, right? Because I believe you can't do everything alone.
Oh, I love that. I guess the next thing I want to ask you is about, how do you see the future? I mean, do you see what you're doing here going from, low eight figures to high eight figures? Is it a game to you? Is it fun? Is it work? How do you kind of see what you do in reference to, what a W-2 employee does? Is this just one big game to you, or what's going on?
There's times it is, yeah. There's definitely times. However, it's we got to find the fun in it, right? And so I'm refinding the fun in it. And yes, it is fun. We just have a mission. We want to be the #1 home buying company in Southern California, and so that's a mission of ours. And so I would call it more of a goal. It's a really big goal that we want to accomplish, and it does get fun. It does sometimes feel like a game, but then it's also really difficult at times.
Yeah.
Like right now we're going through some trouble files and deals not closing on time, and when you have marketing coming up, right? So when you start going through that, it's challenging, and you got to find the fun in it. So game, I should probably treat it more like a game. Yeah,
because again, in games, like when you're playing Monopoly, sometimes you go to jail or you get those chance cards that don't work out in your favor. You just got to keep rolling. So you want to be the #1 home buying company in Southern California. Do you have any idea where you would put yourself today? Like, are you #2, #3, #5? Any idea?
3, 4. We're hovering around 3, 4.
Yeah. All right. So you're in the top 5, going to be the top 1. I like that. And like you could put them on a board. Like, we're going to take these guys down. We're going to, okay. I like it.
Yeah, we know. Yeah. We just got to figure out a way to spend $1 million a month in marketing.
$1 million a month in marketing. Isn't that?
Just got to find a way.
Yeah. So when you say that, most people's butts pucker up, but to you, and this is something Ryan Pineda told me, like we were talking, like business owners, entrepreneurs don't think like W-2 employees, and I'm a W-2 employee, right? I get it. But when you say $1 million in marketing and quote unquote, I have to figure it out, it's because when you drop $1 million into this thing, you're expecting 7 or 8 to come out the other side, right? That's kind of how your mind works.
Yeah. So we run on X's, and we're industries anywhere between a 3 to 4X, right?
Okay.
So let's just take a 3X. You spend $1 million a month, you're going to make $3 million a month, right? So 3 times 12, $36 million, right? So 12 to make 36.
Not bad. And with that logic, you're like, great, we spend $1 million, let's go spend 2, right? At some point, if the assuming those ratios hold.
Right. Well, then at that point, it's like, okay, because yes, you're spending $1 million to make $3 million or 36, but now, the 3 and then 12 to 36. However, the secret in that is all the great deals that come from it that you're going to buy. So you don't have to, you have the option to not do this forever.
Yeah, no, that's the key, right? It's cherry picking, building your own little portfolio. Because that's where a lot of people in the real estate game go bonkers. They're just building themselves a high paying job. Right. It is a job. It may be high paying, but it is still a job that once you turn that off, where do you go? So I love that focus on true wealth building. You're going to cherry pick, I don't know what it is, 5 a year or whatever it is, to just stack. Because I really do think the game of Monopoly has a lot of truth in it. When was the last time you played Monopoly? Just curious.
It's been a while. I'm going to go buy it. We don't even have it. I'm going to go buy it.
Oh, come on, bro. There you go.
I'll play it this weekend when my wife and I are out of town.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, it is. So we did a little bit, we bought some houses, right? But what we did with our money is we took it and we built a business, right? And so, I have coaches that are like, well, why don't you just go buy real estate? I'm like, I get that, but I'm going to build this business. We're going to get great deals from it. I am going to own 100 units free and clear. I know that without a shadow of a doubt. It's just now it's just going to start cherry picking those right California ones, right? Right now where those deals pay for the marketing. So it's all stages, right? We know it's coming. So and this is for everybody, don't be in a rush. I think that's another thing is I was such in a rush. I was trying to run so fast. I was trying to buy 100 doors in 2 years at 25 years old. And you guys this takes time. This really takes time. Right. So I'm learning.
So when you step back and you kind of look at what you've built today. It's already a success. Could it be better? Could you go from number 4 to number 1? Absolutely. Own 100. All those things are in your future, no doubt. But I want to ask this question. Is Adrian Hernandez happy today?
I'm working on it.
Ooh.
I am working on it. Yeah, I got a good coach that's helping me, focusing more on values, things that bring happiness, decisions that I make that stem happiness and bring happiness to me. So I'm working on it. I got to a point where I kind of lost my happiness and the fun in this, and it was just really like uptight and right and
yeah.
So versus power, I'm shifting and coming more from a place of force, and I'm working on it. I'm literally, that was prior to us getting on a call here on my Start With You journal. I'm just in here just writing out values and things that make me happy and just really shifting the focus.
Can you give us a sample of what you wrote this morning? You don't have to tell us everything, but like open the book, tell us what you wrote today. Because this is a weakness of mine. I have somebody I'm working with on my physical health, and he's like, Zuber, you got a journal. I'm like, journal? Are you freaking kidding me? I fight it pretty hard. So give me a taste. What are you writing down?
So this one's a visualization. So she has you write down like what are you seeing, right? So I see myself getting better. I see myself having fun, being present, in the flow, happy. Thank you for our business getting better and better every day. Consistent wave of business, right? So that's what I wrote for visualization.
Now if you go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, go back like 30 pages. What was something you wrote 30 days ago?
So I was a little inconsistent on this.
Right. Just pick a random date.
So here's a random one, 4/8, right? I see myself stepping into the true version of myself, right? So those are all little things that you know what I've noticed, we've heard this saying, different levels equal different devils, right? Yep. So I've got into a level where I'm now challenging myself to reestablish the fun. I used to have a lot of fun, like a lot of fun. And I noticed that's gotten really serious. Why is it getting serious? Well, because the load of marketing is so much, right?
Bigger numbers, right? Bigger numbers. Yeah.
Everybody said that whole, Biggie Smalls, more money, more problems. Like it is, he ain't lying. So
amen.
So it's learning to reestablish, who is that being, and that's the biggest thing we're focusing on right now, right? Is what are we really talking about? We're talking about the being. Who are we choosing to be every day, right? When it comes to like journaling, right? I got to choose to be coachable. I choose to want to learn, and that's what's gonna. Well, I have no choice to do this, right? Is it a struggle? Yes. Am I inconsistent? I mean, I'm getting consistent, right? Let's change the language, right? I'm getting consistent, but yeah.
I love that. Now, this is part of your morning routine or evening routine?
No, this is in the morning. So Start With You. So right in the morning, you got to do it. So what I'm working on is like right now I get up and I go straight to the gym, right? It just so I'm working on slowing down and doing this before, but.
What time does the alarm clock go off?
5.
And it is an alarm. It's an alarm clock.
Yeah. Okay. Beep, 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 beep.
Yeah. Very
My
very
wife.
cool. Yeah, turn that shit off. I love that. Well, hey, let's talk about Adrian being a mentor now. Let's say you're getting coffee, you're in a small group, we're talking 5 to 10 people maybe. Let's say 5 people. All of them young and hungry. They're Adrian Hernandez at 24. Maybe they have some kind of way of making income, but they want to start a business. What are the 2 or 3 things that you tell them to kind of put them on the path to something? What would be Adrian Hernandez's advice to somebody who has a job today, but has visions of an 8-figure business?
Yeah. The first thing I would do is write down where you see yourself in 5 years in that business, right? So say you want to get into investing in houses, right? Sit down and write down a quick 5 vision letter of where you see yourself 5 years from now buying houses. How it transitioned, how you left your current job, how that happened, how you went all the way through it. Think big, right? When you're writing this vision letter, because when we go all the way back to the beginning of our conversation that I started with the whole quote, you have to see it in your mind before you can hold it in your hands. And you guys, this isn't some voodoo, what are you talking about stuff. Like, we have to know where we're going. This is very simple. Let me put it to you this way. If you're getting in your car and you were driving to, I don't know, Las Vegas, Nevada, you're not just going to get in the car and start driving and hop on the freeway, are you? I mean, depending on where you're at, unless you don't know where Vegas is at, you need to punch it into your GPS system and it's going to map you on where to go. Well, that's what a vision letter is. All you're doing is just mapping out in your mind where you see yourself going. It's the same thing, right? The same exact thing. So don't confuse it. And then see yourself where you want to go, put it away. And as the hat says, then go do the work. Right? Every single day, do the work. Every single day, do the work. Don't lift your head until something happens. You're going to miss birthdays. You're going to miss holidays. You're going to miss nights out. You're going to miss, yes, you're going to need to sacrifice a lot. But if you do the work every day with the vision, it's impossible for it not to happen. It's like setting the GPS, getting in the car and start driving. You're going to end up there.
I love it. Adrian, do me a favor. Where can people follow you?
Instagram, guys, at Adrian Hernandez.
Here we go. We'll put it on the board. IG, Instagram, Adrian Hernandez. Do me a favor. Send him a message this morning when you see this, thanking him for his time. Adrian, you're amazing. Congratulations on all your success and enjoy your trip with your wife. Later.
Let's go.